Tae-ho Kim stood at the entrance of Helix Academy, with his old backpack slung over one shoulder and a grin on his face. The massive space station stretched out before him like a city made of glass and metal, floating in the darkness of space. He had traveled 3 months from Earth to get here, and now he was finally standing on the most important education center in the entire galaxy. Crikey, this place is huge, he muttered to himself, his Australian accent thick and comfortable. The station was home to thousands of students from 12 different alien species. Tae-ho was one of only 30 humans accepted into the exchange program this year. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council just 15 years ago, and most aliens still thought of humans as the new kids who barely knew anything. A tall, insect-like creature approached him. It had 4 arms, large black eyes, and skin that looked like polished armor. This was Thalvin, the station's security chief. The Vryn species always walked like they were marching to war. "You are the human Tae-ho Kim?" Thalvin's voice came through a translator device on his chest. "Yeah, mate, that's me," Tae-ho said cheerfully. "You must pass through scanning. All new students must be checked for dangerous materials." Thalvin gestured toward a large machine that glowed with blue light. Tae-ho walked through the scanner without worry. Immediately, red lights started flashing. Thalvin's antenna twitched with alarm. "You carry forbidden items," the security chief announced. "Open your bag immediately." Tae-ho unzipped his backpack and pulled out several items. First came a jar of dark brown spread, then a box of chocolate biscuits. Finally, a long wooden instrument that looked ancient. "What are these weapons?" Thalvin demanded. Tae-ho laughed. "Weapons? Mate, this is Vegemite. It's food. These are Tim Tams, they're biscuits. And this is a didgeridoo. It's a musical instrument." Thalvin picked up the Vegemite jar with 2 of his 4 hands, holding it far from his body. "This substance registers as biochemical compound. It could be toxic." "Well, yeah, if you eat too much of it, I guess," Tae-ho admitted. "But it's dead tasty on toast." Another alien appeared. This one was reptilian with green scales and yellow eyes that seemed to judge everything they looked at. Krelak was an academic advisor from the Soren Empire, one of the oldest species in the council. "Another human bringing dangerous items from their death world," Krelak said with clear distaste. "Your planet should never have been allowed to join the council. You barely survived your own environment." Tae-ho's smile didn't fade. "Earth's not that bad once you get used to it." "Not that bad?" Krelak's eyes widened. "Your planet has extreme temperatures, deadly creatures in every ecosystem, unstable weather patterns, and toxic plant life. It is classified as a Class 9 hazard world. Only 3 other council species come from planets rated above Class 4. "Yeah, but it builds character," Tae-ho said simply. Thalvin confiscated the Vegemite and Tim Tams but allowed Tae-ho to keep the didgeridoo after scanning it 17 more times. Finally, they let him through to find his dormitory. The living quarters were designed to accommodate different species. Tae-ho's room was small but comfortable, with a bed, a desk, and a large window showing the stars outside. His roommate was already there, organizing his belongings with precise care. "Hi, I'm Tae-ho," he said, dropping his bag on his bed. The other young man looked up. He was also human, with neat black hair and careful eyes. "Jiwoo Park, I'm from Seoul. You're Australian?" "Sydney, born and raised," Tae-ho confirmed. "Well, mostly raised in Queensland, actually." Jiwoo looked nervous. "Did you have trouble at security? I heard they're very strict about Earth items." "They took my Vegemite," Tae-ho said sadly. "Thought it was a biochemical weapon or something." "You brought Vegemite to a space station?" Jiwoo looked shocked. "The regulations clearly state no unprocessed food items from home worlds. It's processed. It comes in a jar and everything." Jiwoo sat on his bed and pulled out a data pad. "We need to be careful here. Humans already have a bad reputation. The other species think we're reckless and primitive. If we break rules, it makes all of us look bad." Tae-ho shrugged. "I'm just here to learn about alien biology. Not really worried about what they think of us." Over the next few days, Tae-ho attended orientation classes. He met students from all over the galaxy. There were the Velthari, who looked like living crystals and thought they were smarter than everyone else. There were the Quillnecks, furry creatures who could breathe underwater and loved art. There were the Horaths, who had 6 legs and could see in complete darkness. Most of them stayed away from the human students. Tae-ho noticed how they whispered when he walked by. He caught words like Deathworlder and dangerous and primitive. In his xenobiology class, the professor asked students to share interesting facts about their home worlds. A Velthari student named Krystal spoke about their planet's beautiful crystal caves, where everything was peaceful and safe. When it was Deho's turn, he stood up casually. Well, Australia's got some pretty interesting wildlife. We've got sharks, crocodiles, snakes, spiders, jellyfish, octopuses, and plants that can make you go blind if you touch them. Oh, and drop bears, but nobody believes me about those. The classroom went silent. Several students moved their seats away from him. Your planet tried to kill you? A Quillneck student asked in horror. Nah, you just gotta know what to watch out for, Deho said. Most things won't bother you if you don't bother them first. Except the magpies during swooping season. Those guys are just angry at the world. Professor Krelak, who taught the class, made a note on his datapad. Student Kim will attend additional safety courses. Clearly, his survival instincts are underdeveloped due to constant environmental threat response. After class, a human student approached Deho. She was tall with short hair and bright eyes. Hey, I'm Hannah Lee, Melbourne. Deho, Sydney. You really told them about drop bears? Hannah laughed. Had to see if anyone would believe it. Deho grinned. Hannah walked with him toward the cafeteria. Be careful with the Velthari. They've been talking about humans a lot lately. Not in a good way. What's their problem? They think they're the smartest species in the council. They don't like that humans got accepted so quickly. They're saying we only survived Earth through luck, not intelligence. In the cafeteria, Deho learned that human food was considered bland by alien standards. The cook, a six-armed creature named Plexon, seemed disappointed when Deho actually enjoyed the meal. You don't find it boring? Plexon asked. Maid, I grew up eating my mum's cooking. This is great. That afternoon there was a public forum in the station's main hall. Students gathered to discuss the exchange program and cultural differences. Deho sat with Jiwoo and Hana, listening to various species talk about their homes. Then Krystal the Velthari took the stage. His crystal body reflected the lights, making him sparkle like a disco ball. I want to address the human question, Krystal announced. Many of us are concerned about their presence here. Humans come from a world that should have destroyed them. They survived through dumb luck, not evolution or intelligence. They have no place among truly advanced civilizations. Several aliens in the audience made sounds of agreement. The human students looked uncomfortable. Ambassador Yuna Choi, Earth's diplomatic representative, stood up to protest, but Deho beat her to it. You reckon we just got lucky? Deho called out. Krystal turned to face him. Obviously, no intelligent species would evolve on such a dangerous world. Deho stood up, his casual smile firmly in place. How about we test that theory? Your species has that extreme environment simulator, right? The training program you're all so proud of? Yes, but no species has lasted more than 3 days in it. I'll do a week, Deho said simply. If I quit before then, I'll admit humans are just lucky. But when I make it through, you lot have to stop talking about us like we don't belong here. The hall erupted in noise. Students from every species started talking at once. Jiwoo grabbed Deho's arm. Are you insane? That simulator is designed to be impossible. Hana looked worried too. Deho, maybe think about this, but Krystal was already agreeing. Accepted. We will program the simulator with Earth's most deadly environments. The entire station can watch you fail. Delavan stepped forward. This must be approved by Academy officials. Krelak appeared beside him. I approve it. Let the human prove his species' worth, or more likely, prove they are as weak as we suspect. Ambassador Yuna tried to talk Deho out of it, but he had already shaken hands with Krystal. The challenge was set. In 2 days, Deho would enter the extreme environment simulator for 1 week. That night, Jiwoo paced their room. Why did you do that? You could get seriously hurt. Deho lay on his bed, hands behind his head, completely relaxed. Mate, I grew up in Queensland. How bad could their simulator be? The simulation deck was the largest room on Helix Academy. It could create any environment from any planet in the galaxy using advanced holographic technology and real matter manipulation. Scientists used it to study dangerous worlds without leaving the station. Military students trained in it for extreme combat situations. Most students avoided it because the training programs were designed to break even the toughest species. Deho stood at the entrance wearing simple clothes and boots. The academy had given him basic supplies, a water bottle, a knife, and an emergency beacon he could press to quit at any time. Nothing else. He was supposed to rely on his skills and whatever he found in the simulated environment. Around the deck, hundreds of students gathered in the observation area. Large screens showed every angle of the simulation. This had become the biggest event at the Academy in years. Aliens from all 12 species came to watch. Many of them were placing bets. Jiwoo sat in the front row, looking worried. Hana was beside him with her data pad, recording everything. Ambassador Yuna stood with other human diplomats, trying to look confident. Thalvin checked the safety systems one more time. Student Kim, you understand the rules? You must survive for 7 days. The environment will provide challenges. If you press the beacon, you forfeit. Yeah, I got it, Daeho said, stretching his arms. Krystal's crystal body sparkled with satisfaction. We have programmed Earth's most deadly environments based on council records. Good luck, human. You will need it. Krelak activated the simulator. Beginning challenge. Day 1, the room transformed. Suddenly, Daeho was standing in a red desert under a blazing sun. The temperature display showed 52 degrees Celsius. Rocks and sand stretched in every direction. There were no trees, no water sources visible, just endless heat and dust. The observation deck went quiet. Everyone watched to see what Daeho would do. He looked around, squinting in the bright light. Then he smiled. Oh, they programmed the Outback. Nice. He immediately took off his shirt, wrapping it around his head like a turban to protect from the sun. Then he started walking, not randomly, but with purpose. He was looking at the ground carefully. What is he doing? A Quillneck student asked. Probably panicking, another alien said. Humans cannot survive in such heat, but Daeho did not look panicked. He was searching for something. After 20 minutes of walking, he found animal tracks in the sand. Small footprints heading in one direction. There you are, he muttered, following the tracks. In the observation deck, Hana explained to Jiwoo. Animals need water. If he follows them, he'll find a water source. But the heat, Jiwoo said. Won't he collapse? Australians are built different, Hana said with a small smile. 2 hours later, Daeho found a rocky area with shade. He also found what he was looking for, a small crack in the rocks where water had collected. It was not much, but it was enough. He drank carefully, filled his water bottle, and then started building a shelter using rocks and his shirt to create more shade. By the time the simulation sunset, Daeho was sitting comfortably in his shelter, completely fine. The aliens watching were confused. No one had ever looked comfortable in the desert simulation before. He is smiling, Thalvin observed. Why is he smiling? Crystal's crystal body flickered with annoyance. Day 1 is the easiest. Day 2 will be different. That night, Daeho slept in his shelter while the temperature dropped dramatically. In the morning, the simulation changed. Water surrounded him. He was now standing on a beach with crystal blue water stretching to the horizon. Beautiful coral formations showed beneath the surface. It looked like paradise. The Great Barrier Reef, Daeho recognized it immediately. Okay, what's the catch? He did not have to wait long to find out. In the water, he spotted them. Box jellyfish, their transparent bodies almost invisible, floating near the shore. Further out, a large shape moved through the deeper water, a saltwater crocodile at least 5 meters long. The students gasped. Those creatures are extremely venomous. Someone shouted. One sting can kill most species. Daeho studied the jellyfish carefully, watching their movement patterns. Then he waded into the water slowly, moving between them with careful steps. He kept his eyes on the crocodile, making sure not to get too close. He is entering the water. Crystal could not believe it. Is he trying to die? But Daeho knew what he was doing. He had grown up swimming in these waters. He understood jellyfish movement, knew when to freeze and when to move. The box jellyfish were dangerous, yes, but they were not hunting him. They were just existing. He dove underwater and came up with a fish caught with his hands. On the beach, he used his knife and rocks to start a fire using friction. It took time, but he managed it. Soon he was cooking the fish over the flames. Humans can create fire without tools? A Horath student asked, amazed. Apparently, Thalvin said quietly. Daeho ate his meal, completely relaxed. At one point, the crocodile came close to the shore. Daeho stood still, made himself look bigger, and stared at it without fear. The crocodile, sensing no easy meal, moved away. Impossible, Krystal said. That predator should have attacked. Hana was typing notes quickly. Crocodiles usually don't attack humans unless they're hungry or threatened. Daeho knows how to act around them. Jiwoo was starting to look less worried. Maybe he actually can do this. Day 3 brought another change. The simulation created a cold, dense forest with rain and limited visibility. This was supposed to represent the Tasmanian wilderness. Temperature dropped to near freezing. The challenge was finding food and staying warm in the wet conditions. Daeho built a shelter quickly using branches and leaves, making sure water would run off instead of collecting on top. He created a fire pit under the shelter and got another fire started. Then he went looking for food. Within an hour, he had identified several edible plants. He knew them by sight, bush tucker that Aboriginal Australians had eaten for thousands of years. He collected berries, dug up roots, and even found some edible grubs under tree bark. He is eating insects, a Velthari student said with disgust. High protein, Daeho said to himself, popping another grub in his mouth. Tastes like chicken. Sort of. The aliens watching were no longer laughing or making jokes. They were genuinely impressed. Some were taking notes. Others were arguing with friends about their bets. Ambassador Yuna was smiling for the first time in days. He's showing them what humans can do. Krelak, the Soren professor, was watching with narrow eyes. Surviving is not the same as thriving. Any creature can survive if conditions are right, but Kristal looked worried. Day 3 was ending, and Daeho showed no signs of quitting. The Velthari had never expected the human to last this long. That night, Kristal met with 3 other Velthari students in private. This is embarrassing for our species, one said. If a human beats our challenge, we will look weak. We need to increase the difficulty, another suggested. Kristal thought about it. The program has safety limits. We cannot change those without administrative access. I have administrative access, the third Velthari admitted. My parent works in station security. I have their codes. If we override the safety protocols, we could make the simulation truly dangerous, Kristal said slowly. Lethal even? Would that not be too far? One asked. Kristal's crystal body glowed with determination. We are simply making the challenge more realistic. If the human is as capable as he claims, he will survive. If not, well, he should have pressed the beacon. They accessed the simulation controls and began making changes. They removed safety limiters. They programmed in multiple deadly scenarios at once. They made sure the simulation would become genuinely life-threatening. This should have been the difficulty from the start, Kristal said with satisfaction. Now we will see if the human is truly capable or just lucky. Meanwhile, Daeho was sleeping peacefully in his forest shelter, completely unaware of what was coming. He had 4 more days to go and he was actually enjoying the challenge. It reminded him of camping trips back home. In the observation deck, Jiwoo and Hana were also resting. They had been watching for 3 days straight, making sure Daeho was okay. He is doing amazing, Hana said. Better than anyone expected. I know, Jiwoo admitted. I was so worried, but he actually knows what he is doing. Growing up in Australia taught him well, Hana said. We forget sometimes that Earth made us tough. We had to adapt or die. Do you think he will make it the full week? Jiwoo asked. I do, Hana said confidently. I really do. Neither of them knew that the Velthari had just turned the simulation into a death trap. Neither of them knew that tomorrow, day 4, would be completely different from the first 3 days. The safety protocols were gone. The limits were removed, and Daeho, sleeping peacefully under the simulated stars, had no idea that someone was actively trying to kill him. Day 4 began with sunrise over the forest. Daeho woke up feeling good. 3 days down, 4 to go. He stretched and started planning his day. Maybe he would explore more of the forest, find a stream, catch some fish if possible. The simulation had other plans. The forest disappeared. In its place came a swamp environment, hot and humid with murky water everywhere. Daeho stood knee-deep in water that smelled like rotting plants. This was not a normal transition. The simulation usually changed environments gradually, giving time to adjust. This was instant and jarring. That's weird, Daeho muttered, then he saw it, a massive saltwater crocodile. Much bigger than the one from day 2. It was swimming toward him fast. At the same time, he spotted a snake coiled on a nearby rock, an inland taipan, one of the most venomous snakes in the world. And moving across a tree trunk was a funnel web spider, its fangs clearly visible. Okay, this is not normal, Daeho said, his voice calm but alert. That's 3 apex predators in the same place. They wouldn't be together naturally. In the observation deck, alarm bells started ringing. Safety monitors showed critical warnings. Hana jumped up from her seat. Something is wrong. The simulation is spawning multiple deadly creatures at once. Thalavin rushed to the control panel. Safety protocols are failing. The difficulty level has increased beyond acceptable parameters. Jiwoo tried to access the controls remotely with his datapad. I am locked out. Someone changed the access codes. Ambassador Yuna immediately understood. Someone sabotaged the simulation. We need to shut it down now. But when they tried, nothing happened. The controls were frozen. They could watch but not stop the program. Inside the simulation, Daeho was dealing with the immediate threats. The crocodile was closest, so he handled that first. He moved sideways slowly, not running, keeping his eyes on the reptile. He made himself look bigger, raised his arms, and slapped the water hard with his palm. The crocodile paused. The noise confused it. Daeho slapped the water again, harder, creating loud splashes. The crocodile, not sure what to make of this strange creature that was not acting like prey, decided to retreat to easier hunting grounds. One down, Daeho breathed. Next was the taipan. The snake was coiled and ready to strike. Taipans were fast and aggressive when cornered. Daeho gave it wide space, moving around it carefully. Yeah, nah, not today, mate, he said softly. You stay there, I'll stay here, everyone's happy. The snake watched him but did not strike. Daeho kept moving until he was clear. The funnel web spider was actually easier. It was dangerous, yes, but spiders were predictable. Daeho found a long stick and carefully encouraged it to climb onto the stick. Then he relocated it far from his path. There you go, little ripper. Much better spot for you. In the observation deck, every alien was silent. They watched Daeho handle 3 deadly creatures with calm efficiency, without panicking, without using violence. He did not kill them, Thalvin observed with something like respect in his voice. He simply avoided them. Because he understands them, Hana said, still trying to break through the control lock. He grew up with these creatures. He knows how they behave. Crystal was watching from the back of the room, hidden among other students. His plan was not working. The human was supposed to panic, to get hurt, to press the emergency beacon. Instead, Daeho was treating it like a normal day. Increase the difficulty more, Crystal whispered to his fellow conspirators. They accessed the controls from their hidden location and made more changes. The simulation responded. The weather turned extreme. Dark clouds gathered overhead. Wind picked up. This was going to be a cyclone, but worse than any natural storm. Daeho looked at the sky and swore. That's not good. He immediately started looking for high ground. The swamp was the worst place to be in a storm. He ran toward higher terrain using his knowledge of land formations. Water always flowed downward, so he needed to go up. Rain started falling. Not gentle rain, but sheets of water that made it hard to see. Wind pushed against him so hard he had to lean forward to move. Lightning struck close by, making the air smell like burned metal. This is beyond normal simulation parameters, Thalvin announced. This is designed to kill. Who has access to these controls? Ambassador Yuna demanded. Hana was typing furiously on her datapad. I am trying to trace the access codes. Someone is controlling this remotely. Jiwoo watched Daeho struggle through the storm. We need to get him out of there. The emergency beacon, Yuna said. Contact him. Tell him to press it. But communication was down. The saboteurs had cut off the voice channel. Daeho could not hear them, and they could not tell him to quit. Inside the simulation, Daeho found a rocky outcrop. It was not perfect, but it was better than the open swamp. He wedged himself between 2 large rocks, trying to protect himself from the worst of the wind. Rain pounded down on him. The water level was rising fast, a flash flood was coming. He could see it in the distance. A wall of water rushing through the low areas, destroying everything in its path. The floodwaters were carrying debris, branches, even simulated animals caught in the current. Come on, think, Daeho told himself. You have been in floods before. What did you do? When he was 12, his family's property in Queensland had flooded. His father had taught him the rules. Get to high ground, stay away from moving water, secure yourself so you do not get swept away. He used his knife to cut vines from nearby plants. He tied himself to the rocks, making sure he was anchored. The water reached him, rising up to his waist, then his chest. But his position between the rocks and his makeshift rope kept him from being washed away. Debris slammed into the rocks. A large branch hit his shoulder and he cried out in pain. Blood mixed with the rainwater. But he held on. In the observation deck, students were screaming for someone to stop the simulation. Thalvin was trying every override code he knew. Hana had finally broken through part of the security. "I have found something," she shouted. The access codes trace back to Velthari student accounts. "Which students?" Ambassador Yuna asked sharply. Hana pulled up the data. 4 Velthari students, including Krystal. Thalvin's antennae twitched with anger. "Security! Locate and detain those students immediately." But Krystal and his friends had already run. They knew they had been discovered. Station security chased after them through the corridors. The storm in the simulation was reaching its peak. Wind speeds were impossible. The water was now up to Daeho's neck. He was tied to the rocks, injured, cold, and fighting to keep his head above water. "Not like this," he gasped. "Not going to die in a bloody simulation." He remembered his didgeridoo. He had left it at the simulation entrance. They would not let him take it inside. But the principle was the same. He needed to create vibrations, something that could travel through the station's systems. He took a deep breath and dove under the water. Using his hands, he started hitting the rocks in a pattern, creating rhythmic vibrations. He did not know if it would work, but it was all he could think of. He came up for air and dove again, repeating the pattern. Outside, Hana's equipment picked up something. There are unusual vibrations coming from the simulation deck. A pattern, like Morse code but different. "Can you locate the source?" Thalvin asked. "Yes, it is coming from Daeho's location."
"He is signaling us."
Jiwoo understood. "He cannot speak to us, so he is using vibrations. Like his didgeridoo." "We need to respond," Ambassador Yuna said. "Let him know we are trying to help." Thalvin activated the simulation's environmental controls, the one system that was still accessible. He created a pattern of light flashes, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. The universal distress response. Inside the simulation, Daeho saw the lights flashing. They knew he was in trouble. They were trying. He just needed to hold on a little longer. The water was still rising. His injured shoulder throbbed with pain. He was getting tired from fighting the current. But he had made it through floods before. He had survived snakes, spiders, crocodiles, and heat. He was not about to give up now. "Australians are tough," he told himself through chattering teeth. "We do not quit." Finally, Hana broke through the last security barrier. She overrode the sabotage controls and initiated emergency shutdown procedures. The simulation began to collapse. The water disappeared. The storm vanished. The rocks faded. Daeho fell to the floor of the simulation deck, still tied to vines that no longer connected to anything real. He was soaking wet, bleeding from his shoulder, covered in mud and bruises. The doors burst open. Security officers ran in, followed by medical teams. Jiwoo and Hana rushed to Daeho's side. "Mate, you look terrible," Daeho said with a weak grin, looking at Jiwoo's worried face. "You are insane," Jiwoo said. But he was smiling with relief. Medical teams carefully untied Daeho and loaded him onto a stretcher. His shoulder injury needed treatment, and he was suffering from exposure and exhaustion. As they carried him out, Thalvin approached. "Student Kim, we have evidence that the simulation was sabotaged. You were deliberately placed in lethal danger." "Yeah, I figured that out," Daeho said. "Those crocs do not usually hang out with taipans. The Velthari students responsible are being detained. There will be a full investigation." "Good. Can someone get me a burger? I am starving." The entire station had watched the drama unfold. The medical bay at Helix Academy was designed for all species, which meant the beds were strange shapes and the equipment looked like something from a science fiction movie. Daeho lay in a bed that had adjusted itself to his human form, his shoulder wrapped in bandages that glowed faintly blue. The alien medicine was working faster than Earth medicine would have, but the doctor said he needed to rest for at least 3 days. "Resting is boring," Daeho complained to Jiwoo, who was visiting for the 5th time that day. "You almost died," Jiwoo reminded him. "Rest is good." "Almost died is not the same as died," Daeho pointed out. "Besides, I have been in worse situations. Remember I told you about the time I got stuck in a tree during a flood with 3 snakes? You did not tell me about that, and I do not want to hear it now," Jiwoo said. But he was smiling. He had stopped being quite so nervous around Daeho's stories. Hana arrived with her datapad looking excited. "You are famous. The entire galaxy is talking about you." She showed him the news feeds, headlines in dozens of alien languages, all telling the story of the human who survived an assassination attempt through sheer stubbornness. Videos of his survival tactics were being analyzed by military academies across the council. Scientists were requesting interviews. There were even comedy shows making jokes about how Australians were impossible to kill. "This is embarrassing," Deho muttered, his face red. "This is good for humanity," Ambassador Yuna said, entering the medical bay. She looked tired but satisfied. "For years, other species have looked down on us. Now they see what we are capable of." "I was just trying not to die," Deho said. "And that is exactly the point," Yuna replied. "You showed them that humans do not give up. We adapt. We survive." The council had called an emergency session to address the sabotage. It was being held in 3 days, which gave Deho just enough time to recover. The Velthari students who were responsible had been detained, including Kristal. They were being held in the station's security wing, waiting for trial. Talvin visited Deho the next day. The Vrin security chief stood beside the bed, his forearms crossed in what might have been respect. "Student Kim, I must apologize," Talvin said. "I believed humans were fragile. I was wrong." "No worries, mate," Deho said. "Lots of people think that. Your species survived a planet that actively tried to kill you. That requires strength I did not recognize." Talvin paused. "I am requesting assignment to Earth. I wish to study your people and cultures more deeply." Deho grinned. "Just avoid the spiders. And the snakes. And definitely the drop bears." "I will make note of that," Talvin said seriously, not realizing Deho was joking. Professor Krelak also came by, though he looked less pleased. The reptilian academic stood at the foot of the bed, his yellow eyes thoughtful. "I underestimated your capabilities," Krelak admitted. "I wrote a paper once stating that Death World species could not develop true intelligence because they were too busy surviving. I may need to revise that thesis." "Surviving kind of requires intelligence," Deho pointed out. "You have to think fast when a crocodile is coming at you." "Indeed," Krelak said. "Perhaps intelligence takes many forms. Perhaps we in the council have been measuring it wrong." On the 3rd day, Deho was cleared to leave the medical bay. His shoulder was still sore but healing well. He dressed in clean clothes and prepared for the council session. Jiwoo helped him with his tie. Humans were expected to look formal for official proceedings. "Are you nervous?" Jiwoo asked. "A bit," Deho admitted. "Never testified at a galactic trial before." "Just tell the truth," Hana advised. "Show them who you are." The council chambers were massive, with seating for representatives from all 12 species. The room was circular, with a raised platform in the center where the accused would stand. Above them, holographic displays showed the proceedings to the entire station. And beyond, this trial was being broadcast across the galaxy. Deho sat in the witness section with Ambassador Yuna. The 4 Velthari students were brought in, their crystal bodies dim with shame. Crystal looked especially subdued. The council judges entered, 12 beings from 12 different species, each an elder or leader of their people. They took their seats at the high bench. The head judge was from the Quilnic species, a wise old being named Elder Furlon. His furry face was kind but serious. "We are here to judge the actions of 4 Velthari students who are accused of attempted murder through simulation sabotage," Elder Furlon announced. "How do the accused plead?" The Velthari student's lawyer stood up. He was also Velthari, his crystal body sparkling with nervous energy. "My clients plead not guilty, Your Honors. They were merely trying to prove a point about human capabilities." "By trying to kill one?" Ambassador Yuna shot back. "They did not intend lethal harm," the lawyer argued. "They simply wanted to create a realistic challenge. If the human was truly capable, he would survive." Elder Furlon gestured to Deho. "We will hear from the survivor. Student Kim, please approach." Deho walked to the center platform. A holographic screen appeared beside him, showing videos from the simulation. Him avoiding the crocodile, relocating the spider, surviving the flood. The entire council watched in silence. "Student Kim," Elder Furlon said gently, "please tell us what happened in your own words." Deho took a breath. "Well, the first 3 days were actually pretty standard. Hot desert, reef with jellyfish, cold forest. Nothing I had not experienced before back home. But day 4 was different. Suddenly there were multiple predators that would never be in the same location naturally. The weather became impossible. The water rose too fast." "You knew it was sabotage?" another judge asked. "I figured it out, yeah," Deho said. "But I grew up in Australia. Impossible weather is kind of normal for us. We get floods, fires, droughts, cyclones. You learn to deal with it or you do not survive. The defense claims you only survived through luck, the Velthari lawyer said. Deho laughed. Mate, luck had nothing to do with it. I survived because I knew what I was doing. I grew up learning how to read animal behavior, how to find water, how to build shelter, how to stay calm in a crisis. That is not luck. That is skill learned over a lifetime. He looked directly at Christal. You thought Earth was trying to kill us. You got it wrong. Earth was training us. Every dangerous animal, every extreme weather event, every poisonous plant, they were all teaching us how to adapt, how to think, how to survive. You lot evolved on easy planets where everything was safe and comfortable. We evolved on a planet that demanded we become better every single day. The council chambers were completely silent. Every species representative was listening. Deho continued, his voice stronger now. You want to know why humans deserve to be in the council? Not because we are the smartest or the strongest or the most advanced, but because we never give up. We face impossible odds and we find a way through. That is what Earth taught us, and that is what makes us valuable. He gestured to the screens showing his survival footage. You can see right there, I did not kill those animals. I did not destroy the environment. I worked with what I had. I adapted. That is what humans do. Ambassador Yuna stood up. The Velthari students did not just sabotage a simulation. They revealed their own prejudice. They could not accept that a species from a dangerous world could be intelligent, could be worthy. So they tried to prove we were weak. Instead, they proved the opposite. The Velthari lawyer tried to speak, but Elder Furlon held up a paw for silence. I have heard enough, the elder said. We will review the evidence and render judgment. The council judges left the room to deliberate. It took them less than an hour to return. Elder Furlon looked grave. We find the accused guilty of sabotage, attempted murder, and acting with malicious intent to harm a fellow student. This is a serious violation of council law and academy regulations. Crystal and his friends dimmed even further, their crystal bodies barely glowing. However, Elder Furlon continued, this trial has revealed something more important. The council has been measuring species by the wrong standards. We valued technological advancement and peaceful evolution. We dismissed species that came from harsh environments as primitive or lucky. The elder looked at Deho. Student Kim has shown us that survival itself requires profound intelligence. Adaptation, quick thinking, emotional control under stress, these are valuable traits that we overlooked. Another judge spoke up, a Haraths with 6 legs and wise eyes. The council must change how we evaluate new species. We must recognize that different environments produce different strengths. Deathworld species like humans have capabilities we cannot match because we never needed to develop them. Therefore, Elder Furlon announced, the council is creating new protocols. Species will be evaluated on adaptation, not just technology. We will establish new categories of intelligence and strength. He gestured to Ambassador Yuna. Furthermore, humanity has proven their worth through this incident. Earth will be granted 3 additional seats on the council, raising your total to 5 representatives. This is an unprecedented honor for such a new member species. The chamber erupted in noise. Aliens from different species started talking at once. Some were excited, others concerned, but no one could deny what they had witnessed. As for the guilty students, Elder Furlon continued, 6 months had passed since the trial, and Helix Academy looked different now. Not physically. The station was still the same massive structure floating in space, but the atmosphere had changed. Humans were no longer avoided in the corridors. Other species actually wanted to talk to them, learn from them, study with them. Deho walked through the main plaza toward the new education wing, which had been built specifically for his survival courses. His shoulder had healed completely, though he still had a scar that he joked made him look tough. Students from various species waved at him as he passed. Some even asked for selfies, which he found hilarious and embarrassing in equal measure. The famous human, a Quillneck student called out. Are we learning about drop bears today? Maybe next week, Deho called back with a grin. He had finally explained that drop bears were a joke, though some students still believed they were real. Jiwoo was waiting outside the classroom, reviewing his teaching notes. He had become Deho's assistant instructor, helping to translate concepts and manage the large number of students who wanted to enroll. We have 500 students registered, Jiwoo said, shaking his head. The classroom only holds 200. We will do multiple sessions, Deho said. or take them outside to the environmental decks. "You're enjoying this too much," Jiwoo observed, but he was smiling. Inside the classroom, students from all 12 species waited eagerly. There were Velthari sitting next to Vryn, sitting next to Quillnex. Even some Soren students had enrolled despite their species' usual pride. The trial had changed many minds about humans and Death World species in general. Hana was at the front, setting up holographic displays. She had been hired as the technical director for the survival program, designing safe simulations based on Earth environments. "Ready?" she asked Daeho. "Ready as I will ever be," he replied. The class began. Today's lesson was about identifying safe water sources and understanding animal behavior as environmental indicators. Daeho spoke casually, using simple language and lots of examples from his childhood in Australia. "See, the thing about water is that animals always know where it is," he explained. "If you are lost, watch the birds at sunset. They fly toward water. Follow the tracks of mammals. They need to drink regularly. Even insects can lead you to water if you know what to look for." A Horath student raised one of his 6 legs to ask a question. "But what if there are predators near the water source?" "Good question," Daeho said. "Predators often hang around water because they know prey will come there. So you need to be smart about it. Approach carefully. Watch for signs, maybe wait until the predator has drunk and left, or find a different source. There is always another option if you think about it." A Velthari student, not Crystal but one of his former friends, raised a crystal appendage. "Teacher Daeho, I must ask, how did you learn to stay calm when facing the crocodile?" "I would have panicked." Daeho thought about it. "Panic gets you killed. My dad taught me that when I was little. He said fear is natural and good, it keeps you alert, but panic makes you stupid. So when something dangerous happens, you take a breath, you assess the situation, and you decide on the best action. Sometimes the best action is to stay still. Sometimes it is to back away slowly. Sometimes you make yourself look bigger and scarier than you are." "Humans can look scary?" a Quillnex student asked doubtfully. "To a crocodile, yeah," Daeho laughed. "It is all about confidence. Animals can sense fear, but they can also sense when something is not acting like normal prey." The class continued for 2 hours. Students took notes eagerly, asking questions about everything from building fires to identifying poisonous plants. At the end, several students stayed behind to ask more personal questions. "Is Earth really as dangerous as they say?" a young Vryn asked nervously. "It has its moments," Daeho admitted, "but it is also beautiful. Dangerous does not mean bad. It just means you need to pay attention and respect your environment." After the class, Ambassador Yuna visited. She looked pleased but also tired. Her workload had increased significantly with Earth's new council positions. "How was teaching?" she asked. "Good," Daeho said. "Strange but good. Never thought I would be a teacher." "You are doing important work," Yuna told him. "You are changing how the galaxy sees humanity. Universities across the council are requesting human instructors now. Military academies want us to teach survival tactics. Scientific institutions want to study how humans adapted to Earth. All because I did not die in a simulation," Daeho joked. "All because you showed them who we really are," Yuna corrected. "Strong, adaptable, and unwilling to give up." Later that evening, Daeho met with Jiwoo and Hana at the station's observation deck. They sat looking at the stars, drinking something that tasted almost like coffee but was made by Quillnex brewers. "Do you ever regret accepting that challenge?" Hana asked. Daeho considered it. "No, I mean, almost dying was not fun. And my shoulders still get sore when it rains, well, when the station simulates rain. But good came from it. People take humans seriously now. We are not just the new species anymore." "You became a symbol," Jiwoo said. "The human who survived the impossible." "I just did what any Australian would do," Daeho protested. "Exactly," Hana said. "And that is what makes it powerful. You were not trying to be a hero. You were just being yourself." The conversation was interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. A new exchange student had arrived, looking nervous and overwhelmed. She was human, young, with wide eyes, taking in the alien species around her. "Should we help her?" Jiwoo asked. "Definitely," Daeho said, standing up. They approached the new student. She jumped slightly when she saw them, then relaxed when she realized they were human. "Hi," she said. "I am Minsu. I just arrived from Busan. This place is huge." "It is," Daeho agreed. "I am Daeho, this is Jiwoo and Hana. We can show you around if you want." Are you the Daeho? Mincio asked, her eyes widening. The one who survived the simulator? Daeho sighed. Yeah, that is me. Everyone on Earth talks about you. They say you made the aliens respect humans. I mostly just avoided getting eaten by crocodiles, Daeho said modestly. As they walked Mincio to her dormitory, she asked questions about the station and the other species. She seemed particularly nervous about the Velthari. They are not all bad, Daeho assured her. The students who tried to kill me were exceptions. Most Velthari are actually pretty nice once you get to know them. They just take a while to warm up to new species. Is Earth really as dangerous as they say? Mincio asked, the same question Daeho had been asked 100 times. Before he could answer, a Velthari student approached them. It was one of Kristal's former friends doing his community service. Excuse me, the Velthari said nervously. I am supposed to assist new students. Can I help carry your belongings? Mincio looked uncertain, but Daeho nodded encouragingly. This is... He paused, realizing he had never learned the Velthari's name. I am called Talven, the Velthari supplied. I am serving my sentence by helping students. I apologize for my previous prejudice against humans. No worries, mate, Daeho said. We all make mistakes. Talven helped carry Mincio's bags while explaining the station's layout. The sight of a Velthari voluntarily helping a human would have been impossible 6 months ago. Now it was becoming normal. Later that night, back in his dormitory, Daeho reflected on how much had changed. Jiwoo was actually messy now, leaving clothes on his chair instead of folding everything perfectly. He had loosened up significantly. They had become genuine friends, not just roommates. Hey, Jiwoo said from his desk. I got accepted into the advanced diplomatic program. They want me to specialize in Death World species relations. That is great, Daeho said. You will be good at it. I learned from the best, Jiwoo said. You taught me that rules are important, but flexibility is important too. That sometimes you need to take risks. And you taught me to actually read the instruction manuals before doing things, Daeho countered. We balance each other out. A message arrived on Daeho's datapad. Professor Krelak had sent him a draft of his new research paper, Reassessing Intelligence Markers in Post-Catastrophic Species. Daeho was listed as a contributing researcher. Fancy, he muttered, reading through it. The paper argued that the Council needed to completely rethink how they measured intelligence and capability. It suggested that species from harsh environments developed different but equally valid forms of intelligence: practical intelligence, emotional resilience, rapid adaptation, and creative problem-solving under pressure. There was even a section about Australia specifically, discussing how the continent's unique challenges had shaped human development in that region. Krelak had actually done his research properly this time. Daeho sent back his approval with a few minor corrections. He was now technically an academic researcher, which his mother would find hilarious when he told her. The next morning, Daeho hosted another survival class, this time focusing on bush tucker, the edible plants that Aboriginal Australians had used for thousands of years. He had requested actual samples be grown in the station's botanical gardens, and the gardeners had been happy to help. Students gathered around as he showed them various plants. This is called bush tomato. This is wattle seed. This is lemon myrtle.